I storm off to the garden, heading over to one of the hedge mazes past the east wing of the house. I quickly sit down in the corner of a hedge and wrap my arms around my legs as I bury my forehead against my knees. I couldn't believe that Hieronymous had used an affection spell to try to repair our relationship. I remember that I had felt absolutely nothing for him when he first came back. It stood in sharp contrast to how I felt this morning when I wanted to do nothing but spend the rest of my life just lounging in his arms as I let him kiss me. The better question was, when had he done it? Did he really use a spell to make me sleep with him again? Just thinking about it made me feel gross. I didn't have another word for it. Hieronymous had already betrayed my trust in him by hiding his history with Violet, and now he was manipulating my emotions because he wanted things to get back to normal as fast as possible without putting in the work. I wasn't sure how I was supposed to forgive him for that, but at the same time, I had to wonder if there was a reason that Melodia had revealed it to me. Was she trying to protect me by telling me the truth, or was she trying to drive me and Hieronymous apart? There was nothing that she could gain from our split that I could think of off the top of my head, but at the same time, I still felt that there was some secret that Melodia did not want me to know. Tori? I look up to see Bez standing over me, and I quickly hunker back down as I press my forehead into my knees again. Go away. I think I'd rather be out here, if it's all right with you, he replies as he sits down beside me. My mother and Hieronymous are really getting into it in there. I pause as I look up at him. Hieronymous isn't well yet, Bez. She isn't going to try to duel him or anything like that, right? No, of course not, Bez replies, but my mother has a temper that can rival his. She just doesn't let it show. I sigh. Is no one who they appear to be? Not many people are, Bez reminds me. I think you taught me that, actually. I just shrug my shoulders up and down. I don't know what to do anymore. How can I trust Hieronymous when he used spells on me to try to fix things between us? I wasn't there when he woke up, but I can imagine he must have been desperate, Bez replies. I'm not trying to stand up for him or anything, but maybe he felt that it was the only way to get you to stay with him. Did you tell him you were going to leave him after what you saw? I shake my head. I told him that I was thinking about going to Shetlock to give him time to recover on his own, but he threw a tantrum, and so I stayed. He is too volatile to leave alone right now. But how is he? Bez asks slowly. You're not worried about him hurting you, right? Not physically, I pout as I pull at the grass on either side of my feet. I just don't know how I can trust him anymore. It's going to take time, Bez agrees, but I think you'll pull through. Oh yeah? I ask as I glance over at him. How are you so sure of that? Because you really do love him, Bez replies. Remember what we talked about back in his room that one night he was out? You were so upset that you would never measure up to his standards. Now, I think you've surpassed them. I think that's why he's so upset with my mother. He's worried that she'll take you away from him, and he'll do anything not to let that happen. I just shrug. And Melodia. What does she want with me? She and Hieronymous have history, but I don't know what it is. Do you know it? Bez pauses. I'm not sure if I should say. You should say, I reply immediately. I literally don't even know if I can trust my own husband anymore, Bez. Please tell me I can at least trust you. My mother is only a few years older than Hieronymous, he replies. She was raised by the Gosebi. They are a traveling tribe of witches that worships the three kindred and tries to stay connected to the old magic. Aloysius used her in one of his experiments to try to figure out how to raise children in the other world, but he pushed her too hard and she died. I gasp. Aloysius killed her? Then how is she still here? They forced Aloysius into linking his life with hers when they performed a solemn bond to save her life, Bej explains. When she woke up, she started having visions, some of which were connected to Hieronymous. Aloysius seemed to believe in some of them, but he might have only been entertaining her. Either way, my mother had a vision that Hieronymous would lead Violet to ruin if they went into the other world. She warned him. She warned Aloysius. But her warnings went unheeded, and you know what happened. Wow, I said quietly. So that's why Hieronymous was always so bitter towards her. When we were at your house over Christmas, he was really angry about some private conversation they were having. He said she was just a soothsayer, but why would he not believe in her visions if one of them came true? Bej just shrugs. I don't know. I think he was jealous that his father seemed interested in her visions. Maybe he thought she was only doing it to impress him. I'm not sure. Hieronymous was desperate to please his father around that age, I say, thinking back to what Aloysius had told me last year. But I can sort of see Hieronymus' side of it. She told Hieronymus that something bad might happen if he took a young wild seed into the other world. That's like telling someone that something bad might happen if they walked into traffic with a blindfold on. The chances are pretty high that something bad is going to happen either way. Bej just shakes his head. That was a long time ago. How is Hieronymus now? You said he was living a perfect life with Violet. If that was true, why did he wake up? I don't know, I reply. One night, he just woke up on his own. I'm not sure why. He told me that he didn't remember me at all until I entered his dream, and then he started dreaming about me. Then, more and more memories started coming back to him, and that let him put the pieces together that he was in a dream. He said he wanted to be with me, and that's why he woke up. Apparently, it was a really painful process, but he said it was worth it just to be with me again. I still can't believe he was able to wake up on his own, Bej replies. But if anyone could, I suppose it would be Professor Grabiner. I can't help but snort. Yeah, I guess. Honestly, even though he had quit teaching a year ago, it felt like he had been sleeping for decades. With everything that had happened over the past year, I almost forgot that he used to be a teacher. My teacher. I don't know what is going to happen between you and Hieronymous, but I do believe he loves you and he came back for you, Bej continues. I know things are hard now, but you'll get past it. Remember, I lived with you both for a week when we were in Hawaii. We spent almost every second together. It may have only been 1 week, but I could tell that you two really cared about each other. You'll make it work. I just shrug. Perhaps. You will, Bej says, undeterred. You two have had so many obstacles come between you, and yet you still manage to overcome them and make your relationship stronger than ever. There's no reason this has to change that, right? I suppose not, I agree. But Hieronymous is only one piece of the puzzle. I still don't know what your mother wants me for. It's not just you, Bej pipes up. It's everyone who has struggled with the effects of the solemn bond. After my mother came back, the Gosebi said that she could no longer be one of them and cast her out. She was alone when she started experiencing her gifts, and she had no one to turn to for support or guidance. She doesn't want that to happen to anyone else. I pause. So she really is just altruistic then? Bej smiles. You've seen her garden. She likes to keep busy. She likes to nurture things and help them grow. We live in a peaceful realm. There aren't many duties she has to perform, and so she likes to keep an eye out for those who have lived through the solemn bond and help them to come to terms with what's happening to them. Then why didn't she just tell me that? I ask, and Bej just shrugs. Probably because you'd ask questions, Bej replies, which ties back into her complicated history with Hieronymous and his father. She probably thought it wasn't her place to tell you. I guess that makes sense, I admit with a roll of my shoulders. How many of us are there? I can't imagine there's too many. According to my mother's estimations, there's one reborn every 4 or 5 years or so. She has gotten better at sensing their awakening as she gets older. Maybe, someday, she will teach you how she learned so you can help others too. I guess so, I reply. Honestly, I couldn't imagine that Hieronymous would be very supportive of me doing anything related to the solemn bond. If he didn't even believe in Melodia's visions, I couldn't imagine that he'd be any more supportive towards me. Tori? I look up to see Hieronymous turn the corner, and he lets out an audible sigh of relief. There you are. Bej, your mother is ready to leave. All right, Bej says as he reaches over and wraps his arms around me in a quick hug. Take care, Tori. You know you can write to me at any time. I know, I say as I smile up at him. You too. Bej gives Hieronymous a curt nod. Please take care of Tori. I know you're worried about losing her, but she loves you and she wants to make it work. Just give her some time. I can't help but bite my lip as I grin and shake my head. Hieronymus's jaw drops, but he seems totally at a loss for what to say. Duly noted, he finally replies, and Bej just smiles and gives me another wave as he heads off. So, Hieronymus says as he approaches me, does that mean I still need to grovel? It means we need to talk, I reply, and Hieronymus sighs as he nods his head. Over dinner? He asks, and I hesitate. I'm about to tell him that this is a conversation that we should have in private, but right at that moment, my stomach emits a loud growl. I've been watching you, Tori. You have been neglecting your needs to take care of mine. You need to eat. I can't help but smile up at him as I nod my head. He was right. Maybe putting myself out to help others was one of the problems that came along with the solemn bond, but that didn't mean I had to go through it alone. Hieronymus had been watching me. Hieronymus wanted to take care of me. He wanted me to take care of him too, of course, but maybe we could figure out how to be there for each other. But first, we had to talk. Part of me wanted to yell at him for messing with my emotions, but he already knew that it was wrong. Right now, I didn't want to hear any apologies. Right now, I just wanted to know why.